What's up, guys? Hopefully you're not tired of seeing this thing yet. Like I told you in the last video, there may or may not be a part 3. It depends on how well it turns out. So part 3 is, does your JK have a heating problem? Like as in the engine runs hot or it overheats a lot, or the engine temperatures are just higher than you'd expect. Today I'm going to try to remedy that. And we have a DV8 off-road hood. But that's not the only thing we're going to do with this thing. First, let's unbox it and show you what we got. Please don't be ugly. Please don't be ugly. This must be the sound deadening for under the hood. That's what I'm going to assume. Yeah, look, it comes with sound deadening and heat stuff. Heat stuff. Wonder why. You're trying to tell me that the JKs run warm? Probably. All right, she's out. She's on the table. Now I do know that this shares the same flat profile as the stock hood with just this big scoop on it. Under hood temperatures, this probably would work really good. It's highly vented. It's got vents on the side, on the top. You get a lot more clearance. And it relatively looks great, even underneath. Like the stamping and the fit and the finish is actually really nice. I like a lot. Now most people would fit this on their Jeep and make sure everything fits, and then take it back off and go have it painted. I'm not done with it. We're gonna try something a little different today. Yep, we're gonna ruin it by putting a couple of those underneath it. That's right, they fit. Let me show you. I only have one, just in case it didn't fit, but it does fit. So tomorrow there will be a second one right here. All right, I don't know if you can tell, but let's just say this motor fits all the way up in there, and she'll fit pretty flush, easily, to right here. So I'll build a panel. I'll just riv nut right to this guy right here. I don't know about back here. It might kick up just to have some rigidity, because I think this is where the cowl sits on the back. But we should be easily able to get two of them in here. I know you want to extract heat from underneath the hood, but I don't. I think I'm going to have the fans blow onto the motor, in through the scoops and out the bottom. Reason being, let's just say you're on the Rubicon, it's a pretty dusty day, you flip that fan on and it wants to pull heat out of the hood, you're just going to have dust clouds coming out of your cowl. So then your hood's going to get all dirty, and I don't want that. That's a bad look. So we're going to go ahead and design a panel, a couple of big holes, and we'll get two fans mounted in there so that we can pull air through the hood down across the motor. First things first, we have to make a CAD file. And then we will start sketching. Alright, let's do some math and some cutting. Alright, now that we got our basic shape nailed down, and it fits these radiuses really well, what we got to do next is figure out this contour. So there's a bit of a contour up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this back where she belongs. We're going to lock it down one more time back here so she doesn't move. Now what we're going to do is we're literally just going to sketch it. So there's the line. This is the inside of it. This is roughly where she goes. So now we want to be off, 3/4 of an inch or so. So we want to start tapering her out, bringing her in. And the reason we're going to do this is because if we put a riv nut in the hood, it's going to have to go as close to this radius as we can. So we're going to have to, give this a little Shoop, like that. And then what we'll do is we'll just chop it up and make sure that it's the same on this side. What we'll do is we'll cut this off and then flip this piece over here and make sure it's pretty close to that, and then we'll go ahead and cut that one off. It should be set. Then we just gotta find a piece of aluminum big enough. Ha! See, we'll start tapering it in because this goes fatter. We'll just take this guy over here. It looks like it matches pretty good, so we're just gonna pencil that in. And we'll transfer this out. I'm not gonna put the holes in it first for the fans, because then we can set this on here. We can move the fans around and make sure they all clear. What we'll do is we'll pilot all this, and we'll get rib nuts put in the hood, and we'll get a piece of aluminum mounted first before we start cutting holes for fans. Biggest piece of aluminum I could find. We'll just square it up and make sure everybody's happy. The whole back here, we'll just go ahead and trace her out. And I'll take it over to my stomp shear and rough it out with that. Alright, we got it roughed out. She's not perfect yet, but we want to radius these corners. So what I do to radius these corners is I'll just drill a big hole into the radius, and then I'll just cut it off, and you'll have a nice radius instead of trying to cut that with a grinder or something. That is impossible. So we'll just throw half-inch bit on here, and then we'll walk that up with a step bit and make a nice radius. Hashtag @CanCutDrillBits. I've had these things for years. They still work amazing. Just go run those in the bandsaw real quick, and we'll just chopper that off. And voila. All right, now, next thing. We're gonna radius these corners really nice. And I don't know if you've heard me say it before, but if you get yourself a grinder and a flap wheel, you want to load that flap wheel up with like wax. Beeswax is best because it smells good when it's burning. But it will burn through this aluminum so quickly because it keeps the disc from building up all the aluminum. So you want to pack it full of wax. Let me show you. Flap wheel. Beeswax. It smells so good. Load it up. And watch her eat. Ta-da! Looks really good. And the test fit. Probably right there. Dang! You think I knew what I was doing? Alright, well now we get to go around and pop a bunch of 1/8 inch holes in this thing and hope we don't go through the top. So now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to tape the hood at the edge of this lip, pull this off, and then I'll be able to measure over how far I need to go to drill these holes, and we can drill accordingly. So now what we'll do is we'll just go like this, and then we'll be able to measure off of this to how far the holes have to be. Now the reason I'm not just going to run a marker on this hood, because I will tell you, even if you marker on a primer and you go to paint it, that marker will come through the paint. So on body work, I try not to use a marker. And now I can measure to the lip and then to the lip of the hood. Now that we're marked out, we just take this off. Now we will make a bunch of notes here. Like if I could do this one 1 inch down here, right here be like 7/8, 7/8. Ooh, up here is gonna be like right on the corner. So if we go like 3/8, 3/8. We'll do the same over here, 3/8, 3/8. All right, got the dimensions all transferred over. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna drill an 1/8 inch hole in all of those. And I'm gonna use what's called a cleco. I don't know if you guys know what clecos are. These little guys. When you push the top down, they spread open, they'll go in an 1/8 inch hole, and then when you let it go, it'll hold it like a rivet. These are like rivet holders. So you can get them in like 1/8 inch, 3/16. You can get them in all different sizes. I have a bunch of 1/8 inch. This is for doing like paneling and stuffs. So that's what we're going to use to make sure that everybody's lined up as we drill the hood. So first we're going to pilot drill this plate, set it on the hood, and then we'll use the clecos as we go, so all the holes are in the exact right spot. So now we got it fitted back on there. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna mark all these holes to the hood. If they're in the wrong spot, now's the time to change them. So let's get to marking. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use this mechanical pencil, because it's small enough to fit through this little 1/8 inch hole. Obviously these ones are good, because there's a lot of meat there. But these ones are the ones that worry me a little bit. So let's see. What we could do is even drill one of them or two of them and then put a cleco in them if they're in the right spot. I don't know, I'm just talking out loud. That one, pretty darn good. That one, pretty good. Yes, we are going right. We're going right where these guys are. So they're all within the lip. Yes, perfect. So we're gonna start right there with that guy. We're just gonna drill that guy, find it with a cleco, adjust, and then drill all of them. We did not go all the way through. Scared you. Scared me. Shit. So they come with these cool little tools. Put it in there, give it a squeeze. It'll go through an 1/8 inch hole, and then when you let it go, it'll hold it like a clamp. Okay. Holds it tight. Now we'll just go through and work our way this way, because if you go here and there's too much space, it'll pull. But it is sitting pretty flat. All right, well, we're gonna go with this one right here. There we go. All right, what we're gonna be using today to put this thing in here is what's called a riv nut. So it's kind of like a rivet, but it's a threaded nut. So you got to drill a hole big enough, put it on this cool tool. This is a Doyle, got it on Amazon. I'll put the link in there. You run it all the way up, and when you shove it in the hole, it does that, and it swedges around your material, and it makes a nut. Now you have a nut in a panel. Ta-da! So that would be squished in there. So now we have to drill a bunch of holes in this and put a bunch of these in it. Now you get to drill out all these guys to fit a 6mm or an M6 bolt. I like using 9/32. It's a little bit bigger than a quarter. It just gives you a little bit of wiggle room and everybody's still happy. So we're gonna go ahead and drill all these, and then we're gonna countersink them, because I'm gonna run nice countersunk bolts, I think, in this. Now we're gonna countersink for these little M6er guys. I like these a lot. I use them on a lot of projects, so this is what we're gonna be using to hold that to the hood. Now for the painstaking process of counterboring every one of these. I don't have any cool method to do this except for this way, so this takes a little bit. Get the first one done by eyeball. Okay. Oh man, I'm getting excited. Well, it looks like all the holes line up. Let's see what happens. So now we're gonna bolt it all the way down. We're gonna make sure all of the bolts fit. Everybody's happy. And then, hopefully these dang fans show up. She is installed. She fits pretty tight. All right, while we're waiting for these fans, let's talk about the power. They are two slim 12-inch fans. I had a thicker one earlier. I just ordered two identical fans because we're going to be running them in series parallel. They make about 7.5 amps each. You know, that's like 15 amps combined, 16 amps. So a 30 amp circuit in the aux beam should be just fine to run both fans at the same time. So that's what we're going to be doing for that, is we're going to be running them to that last port that I left open on this aux beam last video, just for these hood fans. These fans are also about 800 CFM, so combined it's like 1600. They're not like super duper awesome fans. I've seen them all the way up to like 1400 CFM, but it's better than not having anything. So we're gonna see how this works. Well, Amazon failed me yesterday, but today we're back in here and we're gonna put these guys on here. Supervisor's here today, both of them. So now that we finally got the fans, that's all we gotta do now is just mark them out, cut some holes, and then we'll wire them up and get that thing wrapped up. Yeah, and if you guys don't know, he's a walking and falling and running and tripping and yelling and screaming and doing what little kids do. Ha! He's so cool. Is that your drill? All right, back to the fans. We have plenty of room in the top. These are much slimmer than the first fan that I had. So we're gonna try to space them apart as far as I can, just to keep some strength in this panel. Now all I gotta do is mark them out, cut some holes, mount them, and wire them. So now we have our circle within the plastic housing, because I still want it to sit on there from the other side, obviously. So now we just got to take this thing off and then cut that all out. All right, so now before we mount these fans, you got to check direction. I already know that these are set up currently to be a puller. I don't want to pull the heat out the hood. I want to push the cool air in. So we have to flip this fan around. You just take the nut off, flip the fan around, bolt her back down. Now it's going to push. It's going to push the air down when it spins. Just got to do the other one. And we'll go ahead and get these bolted up. All right, and now for the moment of truth. Got our little harness hanging out. Do they fit? Like a glove. Bam. Woo, let's bolt this down. And at this point, just don't forget to install your hood holder downers. Well, she's on. Now let's see if she fits and that she clears. Got all this cabling in here. See what happens. There she goes. Nice. We're going to be doing some body work on this thing because this thing's been, the front end's a little wonky on this, but yeah, the hood fits pretty good right out of the box. I'm going to raise this hinge, I think, a little bit. Raises the hinge, but the gap is the same except for the nose, but it is all the way down. She fits pretty good. There's actually a ton of clearance, so she sits pretty good in there. I'll see how good it works to get it wired up. All right, we're wired up, and then we'll use our cool little remote, and it's on number 6. What? Now let's see how good it works. All right, the hood's closed, and you just throw this up there. Oh, suck right into it. So that thing is working. And then over here, it's definitely blowing out. So that's cool. How well is this gonna work? I don't know, I'll have to let you know, but it is blowing out. And then that is definitely sucking. Awesome. All right, well that works way better than I expected. I don't know how much it's gonna cool under the hood. I'm gonna tell you what, Phoebe's over there is gonna be getting a similar upgrade for sure. And there she is. We got this bad beast all put back together. Everything's on it, doors are on it. She's all reloaded back up with a bunch of crap and headed to the Rubicon. So I will let you know how well this hood works. He shall report back, but yeah, it's pretty sweet. All new bags up there, got the Starlink hooked up, the iPad and everything hooked up. Oh yeah, one more thing we added. So Andy has a Starlink. It goes everywhere with him. So what did we do? We made a designated button on the aux beam. It didn't have satellite button or anything, so it just says GPS, but when you hit the GPS button, Starlink comes on, which I thought was pretty rad. So he's ready for the weekend. Actually, he's ready for like a month. I think he's gone for like a month. So I will report back in about a month, probably less if it doesn't work, because I'm sure I'm going to get a phone call and they're going to be like, this thing doesn't work, but I'm pretty sure it does. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's how you turn your JK into an RV. Later, guys. Bye.